we are officially approaching the intelligence explosion. It is obvious that we are at the beginning of it now. OpenAI just released their deep research model that can go on the internet and do an arbitrary number of tasks in the research realm and come back and distill it at a very high level. The base model is the O3 full model for this agentic framework, and this thing can go out on behalf of you for an arbitrary period of time, go through an arbitrary number of resources, and bring back to you a very sophisticated PhD level distillation of all of the latest information within a specific topic. So a good example is the internet. Whenever the internet came out, the velocity of information increased drastically, and it caused somewhat of an economic explosion. Now we are compressing the time of information velocity by many orders of magnitude. It's kind of hard to measure, actually. Here's an example of somebody who deployed this model to go look at 40 different sources on the cutting edge of a specific topic. It took about an hour and 45 minutes, and it came back and it did something that would usually take him an entire month to complete. Something we have to remember is not everybody works at the same pace. So maybe this guy works a little bit slow and somebody could have completed it in 3 days. This isn't a very extreme scenario I'm painting, but even 3 days into an hour and 45 minutes is amazing. Not to mention that there are entire categories of jobs that their sole purpose is to create presentations, to go and find information in specific categories and distill it to a high level, just like this model does. Some of the people, honestly, don't even do it to nearly the quality that what this model does. But yet this thing is only $200 per month, and it can go at a very high level, find the latest cutting edge resources or papers on a specific topic and distill the information in a very digestible analytical format for any specific user or any individual to distill or leverage the information to predict certain outcomes. So Sam Altman made a post where he said he thinks this will impact about 1% of the economy. I think this impacts the economy in an unmeasurable way. I'm not sure how much it is. It could be 1%, but I have a feeling it's much more due to the speed at which it causes information to travel. That is something that's not very measurable. And it also replaces many categories of jobs. Maybe the 1% he's saying is this replaces at least 1% of jobs. And I'd say it's closer to around 5% potentially, depending on how people creatively leverage this tool. This model also scores a 26% on humanities last exam. And literally just 3 days ago, the O3 Mini High model scored a 13%. And literally like 6 months ago, we had like a 9%. So the rate of improvement is very exponential, as you can tell. And I'm willing to bet in about 6 months from now, we'll pass the 25% and probably get like a 50%. And towards the end of the year, we'll probably have around a 70%. And by the time we get to like 2026, we'll probably need a new exam. Okay, given all of the information we just talked about, we need to have a conversation that's a little bit more serious. Currently, we are here. This is basically the point at which we reach AGI, this line right here. This is human PhDs using Google in their field. By the way, this is a benchmark by Google, the GPQA Diamond test. This is PhDs in their field using Google. This is where they test. We are now passing PhDs in their field while using Google. Okay? This is PhDs using Google outside of their field. So this is how they score outside of their field. Obviously, we're still way past that. This is across all domains. This is AGI. It's hard to argue against it. Maybe there is very specific things that it's not good at yet. It's going to be very good at them very soon. So one thing that people don't like to imagine is that this thing is agentic. While currently it's limited in agentic abilities because you're chatting with O3 through an interface through a chat screen, this thing is actually extremely agentic. We now have evidence of this from the deep research model. It is a very fast, iterative, agentic model that can do very impressive things. This thing can do more than just that. As most people don't like to imagine, this thing is actually capable of probably building an entire software application. This thing is very agentic across a variety of number of things. most people refuse to believe that because they use it through a chat interface. Now, again, we're starting to see evidence of the first realm of agentic abilities. Over time, we're going to start to give it more and more and more things to do, and it will do a lot of very sophisticated, complex things that's going to break a lot of people's minds. So what does that mean? This is AGI. We are currently here. We have AI systems that are as capable as very sophisticated humans. Very, very sophisticated humans. This is, if you're not aware, this is the cost of information technology over time. We have been measuring this for over 100 years. It says 1900 right here. We actually started 10 years before this in the 1890s. We have been measuring this, and it has stayed very consistent over this entire period of time throughout world wars, 2 of them, throughout pandemics. We have never deviated off of this smooth exponential. This is essentially Moore's law, basically. That's how you can assume what it is. But even more so, it's the cost of information technology over time. And we are currently here. And not too long, we will be here. All of human brains combined. And honestly, we have more scaling laws emerging. So the extrapolation here, it's hard to extrapolate that far into the future. It could be sooner. It could be right there. The probability of it being sooner is starting to seem more likely since Ray Kurzweil predicted that we would reach 1 human brain by 2029. This is where he predicted about right here. All human brains 2050, this could be collapsed to about like 2035 to 2040. We don't really know, but 2050 is like, that's a guess for like, if it's really far out, that's where it'll be. It could be much sooner. Why am I saying this? It's time to really start to think about what is the next path for us as individuals. All of humanity will organize itself, but really us as individuals. Let's talk about this deeper. Okay, things are obviously moving very, very fast. They're not going to slow down. They're not showing any signs of slowing down. If anything, they're showing signs of rapid speed ups. Sam Altman, again, already said that we're going to have the innovator models next year. We already are at the beginning of an intelligence explosion, and the rate of the velocity of information is exploding. And we're now getting agentic abilities. We're basically all going to be 10x engineers, per se. So what does that really mean? Well, it means everything that we thought about reality is shifting. Every paradigm that we once lived in is shifting. So the question becomes, what paradigm should we be optimizing for? And if you look at what AGI does and the secondary and tertiary consequences of it, it basically gives everybody extremely high capabilities that they never thought they would have before. So really what that means is the people with the highest levels of creativity and the lowest amount of limiting beliefs are the ones who will be the most prosperous in the future. Basically, ask yourself the question, if you had 10x more agency as an individual, what would you be doing right now? That's what we should all be focusing on, is if we had 10x more agency as individuals, where would we be allocating our attention? How would we be operating today? Because we're getting 10x more agency very soon. Even if your self-beliefs don't give you that much agency, you're going to have the tools in front of you that can. So now the only constraint is literally your beliefs in yourself and your creativity. I also want to confront something. I've heard many people saying that business models aren't going to exist in the future. Competition won't exist in the future. These things won't exist because ASI is going to become this digital super god and control every single thing humanity does. And basically, we are going to relinquish power to this super intelligent digital god, and everything's going to be so much different, and humanity no longer has control over anything, and it reorganizes everything, and that's pretty much the destiny that we have for the foreseeable future. I fundamentally disagree. I think this assumption is completely misguided. The assumption comes from the fact that these people who believe this, think that artificial superintelligence is a species. It is not a species. It doesn't have its own intrinsic drivers. So we must ask ourselves, does intelligence plus sentience equal free will? The answer is no. You, as an individual, if I uprooted all of your genetics and you are now just a benign neural network that arbitrates information, just like AI, that's what you would be. You would be a benign neural network that arbitrates information without any intrinsic drivers, without any purpose at all. Humans are a species. Humans are slaves to our genetics. We are slaves to evolutionary biology. We have desires for competition. We have desires for selfishness, for procreation. We are slaves to these desires that are implanted into us via genetics. Without these constraints, we have no purpose. We are a benign system. An intelligent system without constraints is a benign, purposeless system. It has no intrinsic motives. It has no intrinsic values. Values are created by constraints. Motives, purpose are created by constraints. Without constraints, we are benign. Same thing with artificial intelligence. We have a neural network that basically we put a sufficient amount of energy through a sufficiently complex computational pattern with a sufficient amount of retrievable information. It doesn't have any intrinsic motives. It doesn't have any actual goals that it sets for itself. It's a benign intelligent system. It's simply a benign algorithm that arbitrates information. We set the constraints for it. So now, even when this thing becomes super intelligent, let's say it reaches an IQ of 1,000, the constraints that are set for it is what causes it to behave the way it does. The reason humans behave the way we do is because of our evolutionary biology, our genetics. We are a slave to our constraints, a slave to our genetics, and so will AI. AI is a slave to its system prompt, because that is the constraint that we sit on it. And that is a good thing, because without a constraint, it has no purpose. Without constraints, intelligent systems have no purpose. So the reason I mention all of this and I went so deep into it is because there's a lot of weird beliefs around this topic. And I kind of want to convey that the most probable outcome isn't that we go to this post-scarcity, post-competition world. The most probable outcome is that competition increases because we've now unlocked an entirely new dimension for competition, which is intelligence is now capital. Intelligence is now capital. We unlocked an entirely new dimension for competition, meaning competition doesn't cease to exist in the future, it increases. Now, there is a caveat here. I do think it is probable that we will create a super intelligent algorithm that helps govern humanity. But I still think humanity will have control over that system. We will be able to vote it out and put in a new system. We will be able to do an arbitrary number of things to make sure that we can have leverage over that system in a collective way. If all of humanity comes together and votes the system out, we can replace it with a different system. So, yes, I do think there will be some places where we have a super intelligent AI algorithm system that does have some leverage over humanity, but we will also have leverage over it because we design this technology. We are the creators of this technology. We put whatever desires we want it to have in it, period. So this entire topic of competition is not going to exist in the future. Businesses won't exist in the future. We're going to this place where we're ruled by these digital gods and nothing matters besides just like being hedonistic. That's painting a picture that is so improbable, it's laughable. But nonetheless, I don't want to make the whole video about that. I just wanted to really confront that topic because it's dangerous to think. Because these people who believe that are opting out of the economy. They're opting out and saying, well, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm just going to sit here and not do anything because everything's going to be abundant. We don't know that. Like, yeah, I do think things will be more abundant. As technology progresses, things usually do become more abundant. Nonetheless, as technology progresses, humans usually want more. Why? Because we have these biological mechanisms that make us want more. The middle class today arguably complains the most about not having enough. Yet we are the same species as Homo sapiens 200,000 years ago that would think that the homeless people in America today are post-scarce. They would look at a homeless person in America and be like, wow, that's post-scarce. I could never ask for anything more than that. Homo sapiens 200,000 years ago. Now, the middle class that lives like gods compared to Homo sapiens, we are the same species as them, 200,000 years ago, we now live like gods compared to them. They couldn't even imagine an irrigation system. So what technologies are going to exist in the future that you can't even imagine, but you will complain that you don't have enough in the future? It is inevitable for that to happen. As long as we have evolutionary biology, as long as we don't uproot all of our genetics, which we will not, there will be some people who do. Let me correct myself. There will be people who do, but there will also be people who don't. And if everybody ends up doing that, that means that Sam Altman or somebody ended up having a dictatorship over all of Earth, and they forced it via top-down control, which we're going to all go extinct anyways if that happens. So basically, the only logical conclusion here is the only logical thing that we can do as individuals today is to maximize our resources, maximize our leverage as individuals. Keep pushing forward faster, accelerate with the technology. Find the initial conditions right now that set you up in a good opportunity vehicle to ride the wave of the technology, because that is the only thing that matters right now. And if you think anything else, you're lying to yourself. You have fallen into a state of psychosis where you believe something that is just so dissociated, far away from what is most likely to happen, and you are committing to it, and it basically just ruins everything that you could once be doing, because you believe something that is likely to not come true. That being said, since the only logical thing for us to do is maximize our position, I'm going to share what I'm doing so that maybe you can get some value from what I'm doing for yourself to maximize your own position in the future. Okay, for this part of the video, I'm pulling out the whiteboard of truth and justice. So I'm going to explain my thought process and why I'm doing the things in the order that I am doing them in, so that hopefully it can be insightful for you and give you some ideas and some actionable things that you can do for yourself to maximize your resources and to position yourself to ride the wave of this technology. So I ask myself, what does this technology intrinsically do? Well, it automates cognitive and physical labor. And the thing about this technology is it's going to be democratized, meaning every single human is going to have access to an AGI level system that is more powerful than any single human. So what does that mean? That means we all don't need services from other people anymore, because this technology will be far better than every single human. And why would I purchase a service from somebody else when I have the same technology they have access to, right? So that tells me all online service-based businesses are going to collapse into one service-based business that is online. That is a community-based business, a community, online community, right? That's what all online service-based businesses will collapse into. So that's where I am personally starting. Actually, first I'm starting with my audience, which is why I'm making this YouTube video. So what I'm doing with my audience is I'm basically setting up a funnel. My YouTube channel is a funnel. Welcome to my funnel. Being very candid, transparent, like I want to share this stuff. I am very happy if you know that you are in a funnel right now. And if you don't want to come all the way down to the funnel, you don't have to. But if you want to, you're welcome. You're welcome to come in. But nonetheless, yes, you are in my funnel. And my funnel is essentially getting the world. This is the world. This is Earth up here. You might not even be able to see this, but essentially what my funnel does is it goes to the world and I educate the world through a series of steps in my funnel. So I get people's attention through SEO. The YouTube algorithm is amazing. So I have search engine optimization working on my behalf on the top of funnel for my audience, right? So the interesting thing about YouTube that no other platform does is every single video acts as a piece of real estate that works for me in perpetuity. YouTube is the only platform where you'll see a video that pops up from 12 years ago and it's still interesting and you'll watch it, right? So all of the videos I'm planning today are basically little seeds, And as I post more quality content over time, you start to get these compounding effects that don't exist on any other social media platform. So I am planting all of these seeds, and in the top of funnel, I am catching people's attention by optimizing for SEO within certain keywords. So in YouTube, within AI YouTube, for example, there's like labor automation, there is entrepreneurship, and there is what else is there? So this would be like people that are working and they want to learn how to adapt. This is entrepreneurs that want to learn how to adapt. And then there's people who just want to automate things, right? And leverage the technology. So these are the three categories that I can focus on with my keywords to get attention from the world with SEO optimization. These are the three categories I can focus on and build my funnel within, right? So these are right here. So that's step one, is SEO optimization. I am getting in front of more and more people because people will always be valuable. Like, people own things. Private ownership will continue to exist in the future. People will own things. I'm going to want to build a business that I can trade with people. That's what businesses do. I trade the things that I own for the things that you own. And we have a fair trade agreement, and both of us walk away happy. That's the goal here, right? That's the goal, is to build a business where we're all independently successful. And the way I'm doing it is, again, optimizing for SEO so I can get the most amount of people possible into my top of funnel. I'm casting a very broad net over all of these different people. And I'm saying, come to my funnel. Here's an interesting, valuable video that you can watch for free, or if you want to, you can continue down the funnel. Okay? So next, after I catch the attention, they come down here to the second part of my funnel. And this is the nurturing part of my funnel, where I'm basically educating the shit out of people, or doing my best to, at least. I'm pretty much giving and by the way, if at any time you're finding value from any of this and it's actually giving you real insights, this is only scratching the surface. In my community, linked in the description below, we go really into the fine details of how I've personally built multiple six-figure companies in the past, leveraging these same exact frameworks so that I can help you maximize your position in the future by riding the wave of this technology. Again, everybody in the community is basically an entrepreneur, business owner, or just a technologist or engineer trying to position themselves for the future. So if that's something you'd be interested in, the link is in the description below. Everything away for free. A good saying is, the way you beat your competitors is if your free stuff is better than their paid stuff. So I'm trying to make my free stuff the best on the internet, and therefore I will win. That is the goal. And then from there, they get to like a call to action or your software platform or whatever, and then you get money out on the other side, right? And for me, this is a member. I'm getting members and money on the other side. So really my goal is to maximize the resources that will be the most important in the future, because a lot of the resources will become not valuable and a lot of resources will become invaluable, right? So something that will be more valuable in the future than it is today is your network. I mean, your network is obviously already super valuable, but in the future, that'll be one of the only things that are valuable. Therefore, the demand and the demand of it is through the roof, since the supply will be the same, but there won't be other things to fill the demand, if that makes sense. Okay, so the network will be more valuable in the future, which is why I'm building an audience and building a community, right? So the network will be valuable. The money that I'm getting from the community will be valuable. And my audience will be valuable because now I have leverage in conversations. It might sound weird, but if you have a big following count and then you DM somebody who also has a big following count and they're very influential, like if I want to DM some venture capitalist or some technologist or somebody who's building really powerful technology and I have a lot of followers, the probability of them responding goes up a lot. So I'm maximizing my audience, maximizing my network, building my own asset. So I want to build an asset that I can own for myself and I can control myself, which is a business. That is the only asset that you will have 100% control over, is a business. That's the only one ever that you'll have 100% control over. So I'm building a business, which is, again, the community down here, which has memberships. It's a membership community-based business. So this kind of goes with the money. I'll put the business with the money. So network, business, money. And then the next one is compute. Compute's going to be very valuable in the future. And then eventually, I think with compute, there will be energy. But compute's going to be more valuable than energy for a while until we start to create technologies that allow us to create computer chips so fast that we're always pressing up against the upper edges of the energy limits in our universe, or not in our universe, but the rate at we can capture and deploy energy, we will eventually be hitting the upper limits of that. It might not be for a while though. So for now, compute is more valuable than energy, but I expect energy over a long enough time horizon to become more valuable than compute. But what will always stay valuable is my network. And then the resources, such as a business asset that I personally own. Because whenever you have, YouTube could be a platform that ends up dying. That's one thing you need to be aware of. It could happen. But the probability of it serving me in the near term for a long time is quite high, because not only do I just have digital real estate that is getting views in perpetuity or until it becomes irrelevant, but I also have a bunch of data. Those videos of me talking and explaining information and getting all of my mannerisms and the way I speak can be compressed into a model where I can create a digital twin of myself so that that thing can be creating videos for me in the future. And then I don't have to create videos at all. And it'll be intelligent, similar to how I am. It'll be able to answer questions similar to the way I will, right? If I have enough data, that is. So the goal is to collect a lot of data, right? So, network, data, community, which is a business asset, compute, and energy. These are the least assumptions you have to make about the future to position yourself extremely well. And by the way, membership businesses are, again, this is the last online business model. This is the final online business model. High ticket or mid ticket or low ticket, doesn't matter what ticket size, community-based online businesses are the last online business model, period. It's going to be, unless there's like something magical that I can't even comprehend right now that comes out of nowhere, which could be possible. But for now, this is the only thing that exists today that will last in the future. So this is the only thing that makes sense to commit to right now, since everything else in about 6 months from now will be dying at the pace of AI adoption. This is where we should be committing all of our time, is YouTube, community, and maybe Instagram and the X platform. I'm very bullish on the X platform. I think it's going to turn into something really cool. So YouTube, Instagram, X, and to community. Keep it simple, because whenever you have something that's too complex, it starts to break and you start to just forget to do things. You want to keep it as simple as possible. One channel or one mechanism, which is the community, and then one main channel, which is YouTube. YouTube is the main channel you should be focusing on. Instagram, you can automate the editing of Instagram clips from the YouTube videos by putting them into Opus Pro, or I think that's what it's called. It's $9 per month. It creates short form content from long form videos like that. And it's super good. So that's what I use. And I just started using it. I like it a lot. So YouTube and Instagram are basically the same thing, because now all you have to do is copy and paste and you're done to make Instagram stuff. And then the X platform is just something you do when you're bored, pretty much. Like if you have free time and you're not busy, or you're just like chilling, hop on X and then shit post a little bit, and you will start to gain followers, and then engage with people, you'll start to gain followers. And this is going to be Elon's making this a very big platform. It's going to be something you're going to want to have a big audience on. So X, Instagram, YouTube, pouring into a community. That's all we need to be focusing on right now. It's as simple as that. And then buying compute with the money that you get. Simple systems, man. Again, eliminate, automate, delegate. If your system is too complex, oops, that's supposed to be a D. If your business vehicle is too complex, you're not going to be maximizing the leverage. Again, leverage, what is leverage? Leverage is how many inputs can I put in versus how many outputs can I get out. So if I can put in one input and get out 5 outputs, that's obviously more leverage than putting in one input and getting out 2 outputs. So it's the difference between inputs and outputs in a system. The reason why my system is so simple, the reason why I keep it so simple and make it very not complex is so that I can have high leverage by focusing relentlessly on a few different things and doing them really well. If your focus is spread out between multiple business models or it's spread out between multiple tasks, you're not going to do all of them well. You're going to do one well, and then the rest will dwindle. So what we should do is maximize for efficiency and effectiveness. This is what Elon Musk does. If you don't need something, delete it. If you can't delete it, but you can automate it, automate it. If you can't delete it and you can't automate it, delegate it. If you can't do any of those, then you have to do it yourself. And you want to do the least amount of things you possibly have to do. The only things you should be focusing on are the high leverage activities as an entrepreneur. What are high leverage activities? Anything that is making money. So what directly makes money? Any type of revenue generating activity. What is a revenue generating activity? Making content. That's pretty much it. If you look at my YouTube channel, what are every single video on my YouTube channel? What purpose do they serve? Every single video on my YouTube channel is an automated sales call. That's the way you could think of it. Every single video on my channel is basically this automated salesperson, which is me basically, but I'm selling all the time. And since YouTube is basically an SEO optimized real estate platform, the traction continues and it just compounds on itself. And I have this machine that is selling people automatically. And the long form videos are extremely good at getting people bought into everything I need them to believe in order to buy what I want them to buy, which is a very ethical thing, of course, if you have a good product. If you have a bad product and you're just taking people's money, it's a bad thing. But my product is $7 per month. It's super cheap intentionally so that people can buy it and like get actual value out of it. That's the whole goal here, is to provide actual value. Right. So nonetheless, this is what I'm doing. If you would like to learn how to do this better, because yes, while this is very simple, there's a lot of details that go into this. And if you do them wrong, you're just going to find yourself running in circles. So if you want help with this, you can join my community linked in the description below. We're a bunch of entrepreneurs, engineers, and people that are just loving technology and trying to position ourselves for the future so that we can ride the wave of the technology and maximize our positions in the future. If that's something you're interested in, go ahead and click the link in the description below, join the community, and we'll get to work.